This is Monday, June 27th. It's actually slightly after 6:30 at 6:33. And we will need to read the verbiage with regard to this meeting having to be remote participation only. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Paragraph 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on Norton Cable website, the address is there, https www.nortonmediacenter.org, all one word, an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So if we have no further business, we can proceed. We can proceed potentially to the first hearing, which is a request for determination of applicability, determination number 1097 for Robert and Julie Tarsa of 178 Lincoln Street for the proposed project involving plans to clear vegetation and add a pool and shed within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetland.
Hi.
Do
Can
we
you
have
guys hear me?
We can, and just introduce yourself. It says Elise Tripp, but is
Yep.
That's okay.
So my name is Elise Tripp of Outback Engineering. I'm here on behalf of the Tarsas as a representative. They are also signed on as well, so I was just going to give an overview of everything and then allow them to add any details I might have missed or that they felt should be included. So essentially, this RDA is for the addition of a pool into an existing backyard, and to allow for that pool, they're proposing to change the tree line in a C shape around the pool. The pool is 75 feet from the furthest bit of concrete pad on that corner. There is a shed proposed in association with the pool. I do want to note that as things are planned, the shed, it might not be in that exact location per se, but we wanted to make sure that it was included, that the shed may, it will be somewhere in that 100 foot, so we want to make sure that's noted. But there is a proposed kind of rock or fencing barrier. They do have stones, and depending on how many are remaining, they would like to just kind of put that on the back end there as the limit of work, prevents any encroachment over time in the future. We will be loaming and seeding that whole area to match the existing lawn. So any trees that are removed and stumped will be loamed and seeded. The trees will not be loamed and seeded, the ground will be. A silt fence is proposed for erosion control during construction. And last but not least, there was one tree that the applicants had noted, and I'm sure they can add some more detail to that as well, that is outside of the scope of the tree line adjustment, but there's just some nervousness around it about the tree. It's not doing so well, so they're getting the approval from the commission as well to get rid of that one tree, but that can be worked with on the agent as well to help specify. But if the Tarsas would like to add anything else, any notes, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, so there's a tree just about to the northeast of where the current shed location is, that kind of leans into the looming area, which would be potentially over the pool. So just like to kind of remove that just for future safety of the structure and of the pool.
All right, it looks like this is an already cleared area, is that correct?
No, currently right now, everything beyond the 100-foot line is all trees, shrubs, poison ivy.
Yeah.
Fairly good sized trees, or
It varies from saplings to, you know, good size, there's one good sized oak tree that sits right on the 100-foot line.
okay. Any questions from members of the commission?
I just had one question. Excuse me. So you're showing the pool about 46 feet from the house. I was just wondering why it was so far back and wasn't, if any attempt was made to take it, you know, out of the buffer.
So we're in the process right now of giving consideration to doing a screened-in porch off the back and a patio, which would consume a good section of that space. We're in the process of getting quotes for that now to be a future permit we'd be putting in. So this is part of a bigger scheme of the backyard that we'd be looking into.
We just put the pool where it wouldn't go back any further than that point. It may come forward a little, but we haven't done any landscape design yet because we obviously had to get approval before we could go forward with anything. So we wanted to put it where we know it wouldn't go beyond this point. So it could come closer, we're just not sure yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I don't know if there are any members of the public that want to comment on this, unless there are other questions from the commission. So I don't hear or see anybody unmuting. They have the capacity to unmute, is that correct, Jennifer?
I think they've been unreading themselves, so I think they can do that, yes.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions, who is that?
Oh, I'm unmuted.
You're okay, Dan.
Okay.
All right, but no question, Dan?
No, the markers on the no disturbance zone markers on trees, that would be my only question. And it seems like that's been taken care of.
I believe they're aware of that, and it shows a visual barrier on the plan.
Okay, yep.
All right, so any further questions?
No, not for me.
All right. So it looks like pretty much all the information necessary is in, and we can consider a close, but I believe this is kind of provisional in that any questions can still come forth in the next meeting because of the difficult remote nature of this hearing. Is that a fair statement, Jennifer?
In the past, for most projects, you've continued for 2 weeks just to make sure somebody, someone from the public, if they had questions, they would still be able to get those questions answered if they weren't able to access the Zoom meeting for some reason.
Okay, I assume the applicants will be okay with continuation with the idea that if there are no further questions, we can just close and proceed with the next meeting.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I can entertain a motion from to continue, and let's see, looks like our next meeting is on the 10th of August.
Correct.
I'll make the motion to continue determination number 1097 to the August 10th meeting.
Second.
All right, so Dan Doyle makes the motion for the continuation, seconded by Dan Pearson. We'll do a vote.
Oh, yep.
So it looks like Gene? Aye. Aye, okay, and Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Dan Doyle? Okay, and then, let's see, Lisa.
Aye.
Was that an aye? I didn't get that.
Yes, aye.
Okay, good. All right, and then we have Dan Pearson.
Aye.
All right, and I'll throw in an aye on that. And so we will act on this on the next meeting. And I don't think there's any reason for the applicants to be there unless they're notified that there's a specific question that has to be addressed. Is that a fair statement?
That's up to them if they want to attend.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
I think we're all set to move on to the next item, which is request for determination of applicability, determination number 1076, Richard Demers of 388 Reservoir Street, which has been continued from July 13th. And it looks like there is some additional information. Do we have a representative?
Yes.
We do.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you well.
Thank you.
So there's an indication that we have, there was an old plan showing grades, which potentially indicated that the area of the flagpole is up out of the floodplain.
Correct. Can you see the plan on the screen?
We can't. We see a whole collection of pictures and PDFs.
Okay.
Jen, it's just files.
All right.
File icon.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Takes a second. Hang on.
No, we want it all now.
Still not. For some reason, the PDFs like to hide, and it's a hard time finding them. So tell me if, hold on, it's loading.
Yeah, it's opening.
Can you see it now?
Yep. You still see the thumbnails.
Only thumbnails.
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant by icons, thumbnails.
Yeah.
I see you are, you're kind of spinning there.
All right, hang on. One more time.
Yeah, this better work because I'm counting on us going remote from here on in.
It's, you know, when it's the PDF, it's less cooperative. So give me another chance here.
I think all of us may have to buy new computers. Still spinning.
Any good now?
We just need
sooner though.
Not the plan. All right, I'm looking at the plan. Okay. Share. No, it doesn't let me minimize the Zoom while we're recording.
So Jennifer, you were able to open it. It wasn't just spinning for you?
No, I can see it. I can see it right now.
Oh.
Is this something that Melissa can load for us or not? Or is it not on her computer?
Well, it was sent to the 3 co-hosts.
Am I a co-host?
So if you opened it before the meeting,
Well, let's see what I can do.
it should be
I
there.
have it open right
So
now.
mine's on a different computer.
Let's see.
Different laptop.
Okay. Well,
What I got.
put it in there. Whoa, hold it. This might work.
Yes.
I see a plan.
All right, good. So,
All right.
at the last meeting, you were looking for a plan with grades on it. So there was a plan from file 250719 where they have grades on the plan. So I highlighted with the 100-year floodplain,
Ah, yes.
so that you can see it. All right, so the old flagpole area right here was higher than the floodplain. Mr. Demmer's proposal is to remove the flagpole and the grading and install the fire pit. So it would still be outside of the floodplain.
Okay,
Okay?
I think that's all we wanted to know.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so again, do we need to continue in case there are additional questions and then close it out on the next meeting?
For this one, I don't think so, because you've already had 2 meetings on it, and we don't have any abutters or anybody who's called or asked any questions on it.
All right, so are there any questions from members of the commission?
Nope.
And any questions from members of the audience?
No.
And if not, say again?
I think Rick was going to say something, but look, Rick, it looks like we're about to approve it.
Okay.
Okay.
I have nothing to say, right?
Okay.
All right. Well, I think at this point we can consider a motion to close, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion to close the file for DET 1096.
Motion. All right. Motion made by Lisa and seconded by Dan Pearson. So we'll do a roll call vote. Gene? Aye. And Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And I will throw in an aye as well. So motion carries. So this is a request for determination, so it would just be issued. Is that correct, or are there some conditions?
You need to make a vote that it's a -3.
Ah, yes, we're back in our regular meeting. So anybody want to offer a motion to make a -3?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Lisa that it be approved, assuming it's built according to plan.
Second.
Seconded by Dan Pearson. All those, okay, we have to do, once again, roll call vote. Gene? Aye. Dan Doyle? Was that an aye? I didn't catch that, Dan. Okay. And then Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson?
Aye.
Myself is an aye. So the motion carries. We can now move on to our next notice of intent. Our next item is notice of intent. Looks like it does not have a file number, but it concerns Amy and John Call of 12 Highland Road. The proposed project is to demolish, which will also diminish, and rebuild an existing house/garage, install a dock, and restore a buffer zone area within 100 feet of a bordering vegetated wetland, bank, and floodplain. So did we get a file number since the agenda went out, or not?
We do have a file number, yes. It's 2501058.
Well, I didn't catch that. 105, which?
8.
Okay. All right, do we have a representative of the applicant?
Yes, Craig Siganowski of Rim Engineering out of Mansfield.
Okay. You want to give us a synopsis?
Yeah, so the overview is this is a single-family house on the South Highland Street, which is a little dead-end road, 2 or 3 houses on it. And the resource areas, it backs up to the inland bank of the reservoir. It has the bordering vegetated wetlands associated with the bank, and also that comes up along the easterly property line of the town of Norton owns a piece of land to the east of this lot that the wetlands runs onto that property, and then also comes around the northwest corner of the lot across the street, but the 100-foot buffer would come into the property.
Just 2 seconds. So we're again not seeing a plan. I don't know if you can do the same thing that resulted as before.
I was just using my arrow to describe all of the things that Craig.
Yeah, well, it's not showing.
We'll give you a little signal, Jennifer, so we don't interrupt.
All right,
Now.
good now. Okay.
Okay, so this is the proposed design. The other portion of the resource area is the floodplain that is running along the bank of the reservoir. So there's an existing single-family house with an existing detached garage, both of which are in very rough shape. We sought and have permission from the Zoning Board of Appeals to remove the existing buildings. We also plan to remove the existing pavement, which is close to the easterly property line, which would be within the 25-foot wetlands buffer area. And this is what we're proposing to build in its place, the single-family house with an attached garage and the paved driveway in the front yard. The existing yard right now has a chain link fence that was put in place whenever, 20, 30 years ago. It is inside the 25-foot buffer zone of the wetlands. What we're proposing is the area that I have, and the rest of the property, I should say, is existing lawn with mature trees. Some of those trees will be very close to the existing and proposed building, which will come down, but the ones at the existing chain link fence, the large maple and another large, two large maple trees in the back, are slated to remain in place. What we'd like to do is place the post and rail buffer zone fence, which has the solid black dots on it at the edge of the pink area I have highlighted. That would become the limit of the proposed lawn, and the existing lawn between the two fences, which is highlighted in pink, would be removed, and then the area would be seeded with a conservation seed mix. The proposal also includes to place a small dock at the reservoir line. Obviously, we would leave a gate and a 4-foot wide grass area that would be mowed as lawn to access the dock, which is aluminum construction, very lightweight, easily moved around, be taken out for the winter time. There is vegetation in that area, but it's an area that does not have any existing trees. There's along the bank of the reservoir, there's saplings and mature shrubs. And this area where we're proposing the dock is grasses and low-growing flowers. So we're not necessarily removing soil, but we would be cutting down the grass in order to put the dock in place, as minimal as needed. Pretty much that's the, for the roof water, we have proposed Caltech systems in the front and in the back to handle the garage and the building. Due to high groundwater would be at the reservoir level. We're using a very shallow system, so it's a little bit large, but it's, again, only 8 inches deep with crushed stone underneath it. That's pretty much the project. I don't know if the calls have anything to add. They're on the line as well. Amy and John.
No, I think you hit it right there for us. Thank you. Yeah, just the aluminum dock. With the plan is that would only be in the water as long as it's not removed and stored. So that obviously wouldn't be year round. It has no permanent footings on it. It's got like a square footing that can easily just be removed. So it's not a permanent structure by any means. And we're planning on leaving some gapping there in the decking to allow some light still to get underneath the deck, so it wouldn't be totally blocked off to light.
All right, any members of the commission have questions about this?
Was the dock, one quick question about the dock, is it 100% aluminum, or are the posts, are there posts that would be steel or aluminum posts?
The posts are aluminum. Yeah, they're like a fence post with a square footing and then 2 bolts that basically lock how high it sits above the water. It's an aluminum frame, and then it's just pressure treated decking
Okay.
gapped on top of that. Yeah. So I mean, all intents and purposes, it's all aluminum other than the decking.
Okay.
All right.
A couple questions, Julian.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, is there a need to maybe put the siltation control at the limits of the lawn seating? I mean, it's lawn now, right? Up to that existing fence?
Correct.
So do you have to do anything to that soil in that area before you put the seed mix down? I'm talking about between the proposed.
Yeah, we could propose to put the silt fence at the existing fence during the process of removing the soil, the turf, and then move it to the, once that's done, do that first, then move it to the proposed, post a rail fence location to remain in place during the construction of the house.
Right, so
We can change that
on the water side, if you will, of the existing fence, because I assume you're gonna have to dislodge some material when you take out the existing fence?
We weren't planning on removing the existing fence unless the commission.
Oh, okay,
We would just work to it.
okay. So, you mentioned that some of the trees were going to stay, but which ones are those?
The maples.
Yeah.
Two
There's a, it's already
Right,
marked.
so if I'm the contractor and I'm looking at this plan, there's no note that says to keep that tree.
Well, sheet one shows the trees to be removed. So we
Right,
could,
but-
we could obviously adjust the plan to say to remain.
Sure.
Right, and not only that, you may want to put up some tree protection. If you have any, you don't want them to hit the roots with anything if they're going to get that close on any of them. But you may want some tree protection detail at the drip line. That's up to you. You just might take the chance that the roots may become damaged during construction.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, that's all I had.
So Craig, if you would talk about two things. You gave us a revised notice of intent, page 2 and 3, where you quantified the BBW and the bank for the dock, just so we have it for the permit. Maybe just mention those.
Okay, so on sheet 3, if you have the individual sheets, is a breakdown of what we're doing, but so the square footage of the proposed dock and grass walkway total is 100 square feet. That would be in the 25-foot buffer zone, obviously. Removal of some material for the, removal of whatever's needed to get the dock at the proper level, which would just be the vegetation, but not the soil. Just so the DBW in the area of the floodplain is 7 square feet that we'd be working on.
Okay.
The inland bank is 17 square feet. And then the buffer zone, the 25-foot, would be the remainder of 76 square feet.
Okay. And then if you would just tell everyone the existing impervious cover for the existing house and garage and the shed, and then what your proposed impervious cover is so they could see the reduction.
Right. So there's an existing house, detached garage, paved driveway, and then a paved patio area, all adding up to 3,201 square feet. The proposed house with paved driveway is 3,184 square feet. So we reduced the driveway a little bit to get down below the existing. 17 square feet less.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Any further questions from members of the commission? Any questions from members of the audience? And if not, this is something we can continue. Potentially all the information is here and we can consider an order of conditions next time, but it will offer the opportunity for additional.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to continue file number 2501058 to the
That would be 8/10.
August the 10th meeting.
Okay. So let's see, it was Dan Pearson who made the motion. Looks like Dan Doyle seconded it. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so we can do a voice vote. So Gene?
Aye.
Okay, and Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson? You seconded it, Dan. Are you muted? I think Dan may have trouble with his audio, but I'll vote an aye, and I think that gives us enough to pass it. So we will see all you guys next time, and we will move on to the notice of intent.
Thank you.
File number 250, 1052, Cotton Jones Stormo, concerning South Worcester Street, map 26, parcels 103 and 103/1. This has been continued multiple times.
I am Tracy Dewart from MBL Land Development, here tonight on behalf of Scott John Stonewall.
Okay.
So,
So,
go ahead.
What would you
there
like
is
to
new.
see, Tracy? We're gonna make the attempt.
We have submitted revised plans last week to John, and he very graciously did a very speedy review.
Okay.
And he issued a letter Friday afternoon that had some minor comments. I believe he said everything could be conditioned. He wanted some minor plan changes that we can submit right after this, increasing the size of details and adding some more stone riprap. Nothing major, nothing that would affect the design.
Okay, and that's the extent of his comments, Tracy? Instead of pulling open the plan.
One more HydroCAD printout for the swale, just to demonstrate that we got the 9-minute time of concentration,
Okay.
which I double checked that before the meeting, and it's 9.9, minimum average of 31 minutes in the swale.
Okay.
So
we have all of the documentation that we needed. We have revised plans. You're gonna revise a little bit of information, or do you have to revise the plan too, Tracy, or no?
yes, he wanted a couple details blown up, and then he also wanted a note on the recharge chambers just to say that the limit of fill be inspected, the removal of it.
Okay.
So a couple minor things on the plans.
Okay, and how long do you think it would take you to make those plan revisions?
Less than a day. We can get those out quick.
Okay, so it is possible for the commission to close the public hearing, pending the revised plans.
All right. So if there are no further questions, we can consider a motion to close for notice of intent 250-1052.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by?
I'll second.
Seconded by Gene. So voice vote. Gene?
Aye.
Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
And Dan Pearson. Can you hear us now?
Aye, I can.
All right.
Sorry.
Excellent. And I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries to close public hearing for 250-1052, and we'll consider an order of conditions next time.
Thank you.
So
Thanks.
you're welcome. So our next item, it looks like it is a new notice of intent.
Correct.
Is file number 250-1057 concerning 253 Mansfield Avenue, and it is a project to convert a commercial building to a 40B multi-story, multi-unit residential apartment building, which includes stormwater management, parking, and utilities within 100 foot of bordering vegetated wetland. For people who may not frequently participate in Conservation Commission hearings, the format is that there will be a presentation that details the proposed project. Then members of the commission will ask questions, and then the discussion can be opened up for other members of the audience to participate. So do we have a representative of the applicant? And just Jennifer, just to let you know, again, we're getting the thumbnail sketches and not getting a plan up on
Okay. Thank you. I was looking at the plan.
Okay.
Hey, I think we have a two-step process here, so let me know if this works.
Yep.
Got it?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Thanks. Go ahead.
We just see the locust plan at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry, my kitten is running around. Hi, I'm Lynn Sweet. I'm with LDS Consulting Group out of Newton, Massachusetts. I'm the development consultant for the applicant, and our engineer from, I'm so sorry, this is so embarrassing. Jim Burke is here from DeSalle Burke and Span. Oh great, there's another cat. I don't
There it is.
So I'm going to give a very, very quick background on this and turn it over to Jim, who knows all of the details. This is a site that exists today with a one-story building with light industrial. There are a number of different users on the site. The plan is to take down the one-story building. Some of the foundation may remain and build a four-story apartment building with 60 rental units. 25% would be affordable and 75% market rate. We had the privilege of meeting with the planning department and department heads twice during the process, once in January, once in February in person, and then via video on June 10th. The plan has undergone some significant revisions from our first meeting, and Jim will point out to you one of the biggest is that we have removed all of the parking spaces to what I refer to as the rear of the property by the river, and that we are looking to reduce the impervious impacts to the site by upwards of 25%. So I would ask that our first hearing is in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals on Wednesday night. To the extent that you are looking to have the project peer reviewed, I'm hoping that there can be some coordination on that. It's unusual to have the Concom go in front of the ZBA. We've asked for a waiver of the local wetlands bylaw, and I think Jim is going to give some details as to the areas that comply, and the areas that we don't comply, that we are going to be looking to the ZBA for waivers of those areas. So I'm now going to turn it over to the expert, Jim Burke, unless you have some questions for me.
Well, I just want to ask of Jennifer, do we have a more detailed plan than
I was just going to say, this doesn't tell us that much.
Can you scroll down to the fourth plan, I believe?
Yeah, I was waiting for Lynn to finish her presentation, and then Jim is going to walk us through the plans. But the only question I had for Lynn is when you said you're asking for waivers of the wetland bylaw. We don't actually have a wetland bylaw, so I think you're asking for waivers of the stormwater bylaw. Is that correct?
I apologize. Yeah, okay. The stormwater bylaw, which is a section within the zoning bylaw. Currently, we've asked for a complete waiver, and I think as we go through the process, we're going to drill exactly which sections we need a waiver for.
Okay, and yes, we will certainly work out some arrangement with the zoning board so that there's a joint peer review of the stormwater under just DEP handbook.
And I also just want to thank everyone for the time and Jennifer for her comments along the way. It's been really helpful. Thank you.
Okay. You guys ready for me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Jim Burke. I am a registered professional engineer in Commonwealth, Massachusetts, and I'm a owner of DeSalle Burke Sala with office in Quincy. I've been doing work with the applicant for a number of years, and he's owned this building for a number of years as well. 253 Mansfield Ave is about 85,000 square feet, and 80,000 of it is upland, and it abuts the Norton Reservoir. We had, if you want to scroll down to the first sheet.
I can do that. If you just oops, sorry. That went a different way than I expected. Just tell them what business is there so they can place where you are.
Yeah, there's several small businesses. There's a karate shop, or several small businesses in there.
Is this the CrossFit place?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all we need to know.
So everybody knows where Alberto's is. So
Next to Alberto's is here.
yeah, right next door.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan. But
Okay.
so we had Ecotech come out and flag the wetlands along the Norton Reservoir to the east. You have BVW. You certainly have 100-year floodplain as well as generated by the Norton Reservoir elevation, and that's shown on the plan. We generated the plan by field survey, instrument survey from our office, stamped by also one of the owners of the company. Majority of the site is impervious. You've got probably 10,000 square feet of impervious in the 100-foot buffer. And what we're proposing to do is revamp this whole development and redo the entire stormwater and actually meet all the standards of the stormwater management standards, as well as we're striving to work within that 25-foot no disturb as well. As you can see, some of it's already paved and disturbed in the back there. You have a kind of a heavy stone retaining wall that supports the parking lot in the back, and that in the drainage in the back there is dated. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but it's not. It's an old system.
Maintained.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's a good word for it. But what this site needs is kind of an assist in getting it back up to current standards, and that's what we're looking to do. If we can go to the maybe to the 2 sheets down.
So sheet 4?
Yep. So what we're proposing is really, keep them within the building footprint. The original proposal is to use the existing building footprint, and put I think there's 74 spaces underground, might be 64 in the garage.
Yeah, 64 interior.
But like I say, as far as the conservation issues go, we're taking out that entire parking lot and putting in kind of a passive recreation area, lawn, as well as a recharge system for the roof. And we'll be providing surface runoff drainage for the parking lot to the south of the building. That'll be collected through a water quality unit and discharged to Norton Reservoir. The suspended solids will be certainly meeting the 80%. We'll be recharge requirements, and what we're using is, I believe, 40 Cultec units, the 280s, which is the 2-foot depth ones. We did a perk test, soil test, and found not what I expected, to tell you the truth. It was sugar sand. We were able to increase the the infiltration rate to an A soil, and it really helped me. In the depth of groundwater was also down to about the groundwater was at 90 inches, and really apparent and certainly associated with the level of the North Reservoir. As far as all the other improvements that aren't related to conservation, there's going to be new fire protection, new water service, new sewer, and new parking lot on the surface as well. See, what else can I tell you guys about?
Jim, maybe describe the geogrid access and the point source discharge?
The fire department requested the access around the building, and so in the north of the lot, the northeast of the lot, where you have a geogrid access, a short, I want to say, 10 feet wide, maybe 20 feet long, into the back, and then also on the south side, a longer geogrid access along the rear to support emergency vehicles. The point discharge, we are proposing a point discharge. I think having a point discharge as opposed to, we could probably create a weir over the wall. I think to control that style of runoff, we might have to extend into that 25-foot buffer a little bit more extensively for kind of a energy reducing riprap style apron. I think the point discharge, I think, is a little less obtrusive and actually a lot more controllable with regards to environmental impacts. And that's just my opinion, and if you guys think different, we certainly can work with you on that. I think the big item here is that the reduction in impervious area, I have that somewhere, 11,384 square feet of reduction, and most of it is in the back. Like I said earlier, there's 10,000 square feet of impervious reduction right along the northern reservoir. Conservationally, I think this is a great project. The CBA may think differently, but again, conservationally, I think this is a win for you guys. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Can we
All right.
back up for a second? It's really hard to tell the difference, and I think I can see it. The difference between the subsurface parking and the at-grade parking.
Sure. The building is kind of a heavier line, and you can see the double arrows going back in on the west side of the parcel, kind of centrally located.
Okay, so that's the building and the subsurface parking, and then the at-grade parking is to the, I don't know what they're
all the parking is at grade. It's just some of it's in the garage and some of it's not. So it's all at grade. It's not subsurface per se. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the surface parking is basically what I would say is on the inside of the L, on the southerly side.
Okay. Is the
basically where the main driveway entrance out into the street.
So is that parking lot going to be that's subsurface parking? It's a garage beneath the building, is that right?
The garage is at grade, and
at grade.
There's going to be floor.
Okay, I got you. And the building's on top of that. I got it.
Right.
So it's one level of parking and then 3 levels of residential.
And the buildings are on top of the at-grade parking.
Correct. The residential floors, yes.
Okay. And then the lot to the south is just at-grade parking. There's no building.
Correct.
Okay.
It's almost, it's the exact same building footprint and layout that's out there now.
Okay. So I'm assuming that the discharge from the stormwater from the, I should ask this question. So where does the discharge from the parking that's below the building going? Does that go to the sewer?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then the at-grade is going to be treated and discharged down that the right-hand side there.
Correct.
Okay. So do you have provisions for snow storage in snow plowing, because what I'm seeing is that you have this parking lot and then it goes right into, it ends at the building, so.
You know, we do have snow storage, and it's, I believe it's on the fourth, the layout plan, which I think is the third or fourth sheet. But it's located in the large islands, the larger islands in the front, and a little bit towards the back as well.
But there's nowhere to put snow to push it. You have building, correct?
Yeah, and if it becomes, you know, if the snow is, if there's not enough area to store the snow on site, the property manager.
Well, there's no area because you'd be pushing it into handicap spaces, right?
Well, it won't be pushed into handicap spaces. It's going to be
right.
pushed.
So you're probably going to have to take it off site. Is my point, because you can't use it in that strip because that's for access for fire, right? So there's really nowhere to put snow at all.
Well, again, the snow is certainly not going to be stored in the 100-foot buffer. So as far as the management of snow,
no, I'm actually talking about the buffer. I'm talking about functionality and somebody stuck with having to plow this place and nowhere for the snow to go. So just food for thought. Perhaps the zoning or planning can comment on that. Do you have a landscape plan?
No, we do not. Not at this time.
We expect to have a landscape plan in the next week or so, and we can certainly get back to you with a better answer on the snow storage piece. So in addition to the fact that the property will be professionally managed and maintained, and if there are issues with snow storage and visibility, I can assure you that the snow will be removed, and we have no problem with that being written in.
Yeah, it's not even a question of storage. I mean, you can't plow that out of the way because you're heading right into a building. So it's a little difficult. Okay, but that's for you to figure out.
But just as an aside, that there actually is less parking on the outside of the building under the new proposal than what there is today.
Yeah, I'm just talking about what you're constructing though. I don't really care what's out there today. So let's move on to the open space. So you have 60 units and the only open space is to the rear. How big is that?
About, I'd say 9,000 square feet from the top of the retaining wall to the rear of the building.
Okay. So and I assume that's where you're going to focus some landscaping features because you're going to have 60 units. That's how many bedrooms?
I think it's approximately about 150 bedrooms. I can get you that exact answer. But there is also, there's indoor recreational space as well as the outdoor space.
Right. So potentially 150 have to use that open spaces in the back. That's 9,000 square feet. So I assume you're going to have some type of landscaping plan. So we'll be interested in seeing that.
Okay.
And so, did we want to go over the waivers for the stormwater bylaw?
Sure. I mean,
okay.
I guess from my perspective, I guess I'm unprepared to discuss that. I was really concentrating on meeting the 10 standards from Mass DEP's standards.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that at the next meeting then. That's fine.
But you're going to zoning board on Wednesday?
That's correct.
Okay, so you haven't met with them yet to ask them for the waivers yet, and then you'll itemize which ones you're asking for, and then we can have a copy of that, and we can look at that for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have other questions from members of the commission?
Nope.
And I don't know if any members of the audience want to ask a question or make a comment at this time. There is a feature to raise your hand, or I don't know if you see that on your screen.
If you click on the participants tab, then at the bottom it has a raise hand.
Right. So I don't see hands going up at this point. So we can consider, unless hands go up shortly, we can consider a motion for the continuation of this hearing and it is August 10th, I think, is our next meeting. You think August 10th would work for you? The applicants?
Certainly, I think, depending on what the ZBA requests, I would certainly, if August 10th moves into something we have to, or I certainly can contact your office.
So I would just ask the question if we should postpone to a meeting a little later than that so we can get the
Peer review.
peer review together with the zoning board at the same time. And then at least have the peer review started so that we can have a more discussion on the actual stormwater.
That seems reasonable to me.
All right, so our next
I agree
meeting
with that.
after August 10th is August 24th. Do you think that would be a reasonable time?
I can go ahead and put it into September, only because I think the peer review, if we haven't even selected somebody yet, the engineer's gonna want at least, a couple of weeks. And so I think maybe the first meeting in September would be,
And that is September 14th.
excellent.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue file number 2501057 to the September 14th meeting.
All right, Dan Pearson makes a motion, and it is seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Lisa. And the motion is to continue this hearing until September 14th. So we'll do a roll call vote. Gene?
Aye.
Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
And then we have Dan Pearson.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
We will.
Can I just get a point of clarification? Who is going to be soliciting the bids for the peer reviewer for this, and when will we be able to review those bids?
We'll work with Paul on the company. Typically, we do have somebody that the commission works with. His name is John Chesia.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
we can work with Paul on that, and then if you have a packet and would like to send it to him, I can get you his address, and you can send it to him, and maybe we can move the process of getting an estimate along.
I think I can find them.
Okay.
I also know that we sent you extra books, full copies of the stormwater management operations plan, specifically so that you would have something to send to the peer reviewer.
Okay.
And so Paul should have those. I gave him a couple copies of the, hard copies of it. We have everything electronic, and I don't really know what he prefers.
Definitely hard copy.
Okay, so let me connect with Paul tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
If we're all set, we'll move on to the next hearing. That would be, we don't have a file number on our agenda, but has a file number happened?
We do. 250-10059.
059. All right, and this is a notice of intent for AR Building Company concerning 195 Mansfield Avenue, map 9, parcel 273. The proposed project is to install stormwater management associated with construction of a 40B apartment building within 100 foot of bordering vegetated wetland. There is an address for the files to be viewed, but we have a representative of the applicant.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Brian Madden from LBC.
All right, and so do we have a plan we can put up? Because again, we're seeing the thumbnails.
Now we should be good.
Yep, we can plan.
You have it?
Yep.
Well, we have a site plan.
Well,
Yeah, that's just the cover page.
Brian will begin, and then he'll tell me when to move the pages along.
All right, Brian, you're on.
Okay, thank you. proposed project before you is a 100-unit apartment building and appurtenances. The only aspects of proposed work activities within the 100-foot buffer zone include stormwater management activities. Last summer, we were before you and received NORAD to confirm the BB boundary off of the Norton Reservoir, and then the floodplain elevation is below the BBW elevation. Dating back to March 2019, we had our initial department head meeting with the town, and since then I've been working towards finalizing site design, and more recently, back in June, had a meeting via Zoom with the department heads. And just to give you a sense of kind of setbacks off of the reservoir for the larger development, the apartment building is close to almost 400 feet away from the edge of the water. The pavement, the parking surrounding the building is about 200 feet away, and the limit of work. Again, the only proposed work activities within the 100-foot buffer zone are the stormwater management, specifically the infiltration basin, which is located outside the 50-foot buffer zone. We spec'd out some seed mixes for the bottom of the basin, the sides, and the back slope. That is proposed.
You're breaking up big time.
Stabilized with biodegradable erosion, I believe is 7.
Yep, Brian, you're breaking up big time.
No, he's frozen.
I can pull up.
Okay.
Hi,
I am?
yeah.
Oh,
I was going to say, my name's Brandon Carr with the Paved Engineering. I've been working with Brian on the project. I know he's had some connection issues. He was texting me a few minutes ago. Brian, are you back?
Can we scroll to the site plan, Miss Jennifer?
we can when they tell me what page to go. Does everybody know where we are? This is McDonald.
Here.
Okay.
That looks like Norton, Jen.
Which page, which page would you like, Brandon?
Yeah, Jennifer, I'll take over for Brian for now. So just, this site, shows the location of the site. It's just north of the McDonald's, the Roche Brothers Plaza, across from the Auto Part International driveway. There's an existing house on the front of the lot along Mansfield Avenue, and then the lot is kind of long and skinny and goes down. It doesn't actually abut, the Norton Reservoir isn't actually abutting our property. It's there's a strip of land between us and the Norton Reservoir, but as Brian said, there is a bordering vegetated wetland on our site. So if you want to flip to the next page,
sure.
This will be actually 2 pages, and the existing conditions page, sheet 4. So this is the existing survey of the site. You can see Mansfield Ave across on the left side of the plan there. Norton Reservoir is just off the site to the right side. You can see that there's a house and driveway and some garages, sheds up closer to Mansfield Avenue on the left side there. And then the site's topo is basically, it's high on the Mansfield Ave side and it's high on the north side. So you can see up near the shed, kind of a third of the way back, there's a little high spot there. And then the site begins to drop off towards the reservoir. Then that line that kind of crosses right where Jennifer's cursor is now, that's the edge of the wetland that we had come before you previously to nail down. So that's what we're measuring all the buffers off of. It's fairly, the front of the site is open, just for residential yards, but the majority of the site is kind of treed. The center of the site has some clearing, and down to the water, there's some kind of paths that narrow up and then areas open up, but the majority of it is treed. If you want to go to the next site, Jennifer, next page, Jennifer. Actually, go to the next page, please. This is just the erosion control plan, which I can get into if there's any questions. But this is the site layout plan. As you can see, we're proposing one building. It's 100 units. It's 4 stories.
Can you zoom in, Jen, please?
Right now, we're at 180 or 190 parking spaces. We're 179 parking spaces. We were before the ZBA last week. We had our first meeting with the ZBA last Wednesday night. And we discussed, the possibility of reducing some parking. So the applicant for the project owns about 9,000 units across the country. They've done several projects in Rhode Island and Massachusetts recently, Connecticut. They usually look at 1.65 to 1.75 spaces per unit. Right now we're at 1.8 spaces per unit. So there is the opportunity to probably get rid of some parking in the that rear lot, kind of shorten it up. So that'll bring things even further away from the reservoir. You can see on the right side that dashed outline that is labeled Infiltration Pond. The line that goes through that pond, that's the 100-foot buffer. So you can see that all the, like as Brian was saying, all the impervious on site is located outside the 100-foot buffer. The basin itself, in the foot of the outside slope of the basin is roughly right at the 50-foot buffer. And the only clearing past the 50-foot buffer is up in the top, right there. It's where our stormwater outlet is, but we are respecting the 25 no disturbance. And I should note that the stormwater design meets all the requirements of Mass DEP and the Norton Town regulations and the wetland bylaw. We're not asking for any waivers from any of the Conservation Commission bylaws or regulations.
Thank you.
If you want to go to the next site, next page, it'll show, I think it's the next page. If you go one more, Jennifer. Just run through the stormwater design for the site. Like I said, it meets all the stormwater standards. Basically, the treatment chain is a collection system of catch basins routed through a downstream defender to provide some water quality treatment. And then that basin in the rear is designed as an infiltration basin. Just watched the previous application, and I wish we had their sand and low groundwater tables on the site, but ours is more of a loomy sand, so we're kind of limited on our infiltration rate. So that basin is sized to provide the required recharge. We exceed the recharge requirement by about 30%, I believe, and also match or decrease all the peak runoff from the site. So that basin is sized to recharge the smaller storms. And then there's a larger underground detention system under that rear parking lot. That'll be, right now it's designed as a pipe system. And that's basically designed to, the first flush of storms will go through that water quality treatment device into the infiltration basin. When that infiltration basin begins to fill up, in some of the larger storms, it'll back up into the underground. So it'll back up into that underground system before it discharges over the berm towards the wetlands. So that'll provide the peak detention on the site, and then it'll be metered out within the 72 hours. And like I said, we meet all the pre-development flows, which being a wooded site, they're pretty low. So we are detaining a good amount of water on site and recharging a fair amount of it.
Jennifer, can you zoom into that basin? I was just looking.
Actually, Jennifer, if you go to sheet 9, there's a clear.
It doesn't let me zoom in anymore, but.
Okay.
If you go to sheet 9, that sheet actually just shows the basin, so you can see.
Okay, so, yep, so we're on 10, just so you.
Okay, so I was just looking for the access berm, but I can see it now then.
Yeah.
Yep, so we've provided access, and like I said, we're looking at reducing the parking even more, so that'll provide, probably we'll be proposing to leave the basin where it is, but provide more green space between the parking lot and the basin for maybe some amenities and recreation space. We also have some areas around, I know the previous application was asked about snow storage. There's a fair amount of shoulder up in the front of the site and also around the buildings on the exterior, not adjacent on the kind of interior island of the building, but there are some areas, and then in the back's top left, the top, if you're facing the basin on the right side and the left side, we would propose snow storage that would then melt to go into the stormwater treatment system and be treated.
Jennifer, can you zoom in any more? I'm still.
I can only zoom in once. That's it. It doesn't do anything in that.
So is the limit of sediment control there at the toe of that slope?
Yes.
Okay, that has to move because there's no way you can be able to build that slope against that sediment control line. Is that a fill slope, I assume?
That is the fill slope, correct?
Yeah, well, can't get equipment back there if they're gonna build it from that side. So you're gonna have to move that silt fence. I would imagine there's no room to build it.
You're saying from, well, actually, let me look at it. It's pretty much on grade. There's not much of a fill there. I'm looking at it now. Where that spillway is proposed, the spillway elevation is 115 and 116, and the existing grade there is 113, 112. So we're talking about a little bit of a fill slope there, and then it's catching up to the existing slope there. So, you know, what I've seen is that they would build it from basically the berm itself and work their way out without having to work inside the infiltration pond, but we can look at that a little bit closer.
Yeah, is it a 3-to-1 or a 2-to-1 slope?
3-to-1 slope is what we're proposing. 2-to-1. 2-to-1 on the lower side, and then it widens out up as you get up to the top there.
I mean, the purpose of the sediment fence is really not to be at the toe of a fill slope. You need a shelf between the fill and the sediment fence to allow water to infiltrate through. So I would want to see a separation between the toe of that slope and the sediment fence. So
okay, we can look at that. Yeah.
Mr. Chassis, I'm sure, would have commented on. I'll leave that to his review.
Brendan, I did have one question on you. You said that were you just thinking about putting the snow storage there, or is that on the plan? Putting the snow storage in the front? Or?
We don't have it labeled on the plan, but I can definitely get that added. There's a fair amount of pockets up in the front of the site that could handle snow too. That's graded on the shoulder to direct the runoff back into the site. But if you look on the left side up, on the kind of a third of the way back where there's that kink in the property line, there's a fair amount of area there. You know, the previous developer said it as well. A lot of the commercial real estate, which this is managed by AR Builders. They own and operate all their inventory that they permit. I think if Jason Kimbitsis with AR Builders was on tonight, he'd mention that I think they've been in operation for 30 years and they've only sold a couple hundred units. So they're the people that will maintain and operate the site, and they're well versed in handling snow. They're based out of Pittsburgh. They have a lot of sites up towards the Chicago area. They very
just like a sign, just one of the signs in each place that they store the snow, just that in case they get a new plow driver, they don't put it in a completely different place. Definitely. We'll detail it out more on the plans and add. We can also add it to the operation and maintenance plan for the site. There's a section on snow storage in there, so we can add specifics, and there's some imagery in there that we can add and make sure that that's carried through.
If we're asking questions now, we might also ask about lid. Are you using any low impact? Are you addressing in the plan any low impact development?
Currently, we have asked for a reduction in the parking. That's limiting impervious areas is one aspect. We're trying to eliminate about 30 parking spaces, probably where we'll end up when we get through this. We have started looking at some more opportunities to add some LID elements to that design. But keeping things out of the buffer, reducing the impervious on site, providing the required treatment is kind of where we're at now. We can look at other measures that we can employ on site.
So it doesn't look like there's any opportunity to even plant a tree. Is there a landscaping plan to prevent thermal impacts? We did a
landscape plan. It's on the last, I believe it's sheet 12, Jennifer. And I believe let me just check, but the only landscaping waiver from the town regulations that we're asking for is along the street is a reduction in the landscape buffer width along Mansfield Avenue for the zoning regulations, but for tree coverage and spacing of trees and proposed vegetation, we are meeting all the town standards. And as Brian spoke about, I don't know if he's is able to talk, but he did specify certain seed mixes for the basin slopes and bottom of the basin that we've included on this plan.
So you don't anticipate any paths down to the reservoir because you don't own?
Yeah, it's pretty, we've actually been addressing that with the abutter to the north, the heating oil company, and they actually attended the ZBA. I don't know if the representative is here tonight, but they requested that we place some sort of barrier to allow people, to keep people off of his site, but we've proposed a split rail fence at the rear of the site, and also we're looking at proposing kind of a solid fence along the northern property line. Basically, we're trying to keep our residents inboard of our stormwater system and not promote access down to the Norton Reservoir, because our site does not have direct access to the reservoir. So to get there, you have to cross one of the abutters. So we're having that conversation with the abutter to the north, and we're looking at kind of a way to sign it, or we don't want to put solid fences adjacent to the reservoir, but other ways to kind of keep our people on our site. And it is a managed site. There are, rules and regulations that are part of the leasing agreement, so it's something that could be addressed in there too.
Have you considered green roofing?
We have not. We typically don't see it with the residential units just because of the building design is typically a dormered or a sloped roof that is used to, one, it kind of lowers the profile of the building by having a flat roof. It makes it appear larger from the street, and one of the waivers we're asking for from the ZBA is a height waiver. And then the other aspect is a lot of the roof is taken up by air handler and condenser units, because each apartment has their own unit. So with these apartment buildings, you end up with a lot more mechanicals per square footage, if it makes sense, than a bigger commercial building that might be on larger zones or things like that. We haven't seen them done with this type of building.
Well, I'm thinking, I'm not an expert in architecture, obviously, but I'm thinking of the documentary, The Greening of Southie. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about I believe it's a residential building, an apartment building that they built in South Boston, and you could see it from 93. That has one of these green sloped roofs. Anyway.
I can definitely talk to the developer and the architect about it. I can say that I know that the markets are different and rents and different, building construction different in like a South Boston aspect. It might be more of a financial ability in that market to do something like that. But I can definitely discuss it with the development team.
Thank you.
Okay, so you said there was 100 units. How many bedrooms? Or what's the maximum occupancy, do you know?
It's, the breakdown is, it's mostly weighted to one bedroom and studios, but the breakdown is 27 studios, 32 one beds, 31 two beds, and then there's 10 three bedrooms, because those are mandated as part of a 40B, you have to have 3 bedrooms. So that equates to, if I'm doing the math right, 130 bedroom, 150 bedrooms. Am I doing that right? 60 plus 60, 130 bedrooms. 150 bedrooms, sorry. 150 bedrooms. 100 units, 150 bedrooms.
All right. With the last project, we did ask about open space.
Yep, I heard that question.
Open space, so maybe that's something that you could be looking at. I'm sure it will be asked at the zoning board.
Yeah, we did have that discussion at the zoning board, and that was actually one of the things that was kind of talked in parallel with the parking reduction, is by reducing the parking, it would allow us some more recreational space at the back. Like the other building, we do have an outdoor pool area adjacent to the building. There are AR Builders does include a lot of amenity space within the building. There's game rooms, there's a lot of interior, but having that open space outside is definitely a plus. So we'd be looking at that kind of hand in hand with that parking reduction.
All right. Any further questions for members of the commission? And we can consider questions from members of the audience. I'm looking for hands on the participant list. Right now, I don't see any. Now, this project will need to have a consultant involved. Is that's correct? Yes.
Stormwater, yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just mention again at the bottom of your screen under participants, that's where the blue raise your hand icon is. So if you're looking to make a question or have a question, please use that so we can see. And if you're not able to find that and you can unmute yourself and ask your question now, you can certainly do that.
All right, and the next step, I mean, this is obviously something that needs to be continued, and I guess the applicants should consider how soon you want it back on the agenda. Our choices are August 10th. And then the second meeting in August is August 24th, and then it steps into September with the 14th and the 28th being our meetings then. So do you have a preference as to how soon you would want this back on the agenda for further discussion?
I think it would be based on the peer reviewer. I think August 10th is obviously too soon. The 24th would make sense to me. If I don't know the timing from the peer reviewer, but if we could be, hopefully addressing most of their comments by then, and maybe it might be beneficial to meet with the board prior to kind of finalizing those comments in case there's any more comment from the board. But the 24th would work for us, I think.
Okay.
All right. I still don't see any hands up, so I think we can consider a motion to continue this public hearing to August 24th.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue file 2501059 to August 24th.
Dan Pearson makes a motion, seconded by Dan Doyle. Roll call vote. Gene?
Aye.
Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
And now Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so we'll see you guys then.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
It looks like the next item is G, file number 250-1040. And there has been some movement on this, it seems.
Yes, it's being peer reviewed, but we do not have any discussion for tonight.
All right, so then we should consider a motion for our next meeting, or?
You don't have to do anything with it. It's not on the agenda for discussion.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so no action required then. And now it says here, sign and issue an order of conditions for, we popped down to the request for partial and full certificate. Is that our next item?
Unless you want to go back to the Wading River order of conditions.
So that's 50-10-52.
That's mostly boilerplate, isn't it, Jen? Except maybe, no?
No, there's a lot more than boilerplate on that. It's
So Jennifer, number 4, are we gonna discuss this now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we're saying we didn't require the wildlife habitat evaluation. But we have turtle nesting habitat maintenance plan. Did we give a deliverable timeline on that?
We already have it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we already have it. It's part of the plan set.
Okay. Never mind that one then. So 61 is kind of left off. Trail and riverfront, river access.
Yeah, do you want to make any conditions about only using the existing trails or not creating more existing trails? It would all be riverfront area.
We talked about them providing access, a single access point, correct?
I believe so.
Did they show that on the plans?
Not that I remember.
All right. Do we have access to those plans?
We can try.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. If there's already an existing access location, clearly, if they can use that, that's great. But they should go creating another one, right?
Correct.
So I think we should define that existing access and then tell them that's basically all they're going to be able to rely on.
Okay.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, because I thought we asked them to.
It's gonna take a minute to find the right page.
Okay.
Let me see if I can narrow this down.
Probably the grading and drainage.
Drainage.
One of those.
All right, so 6.
6 or maybe 7.
It just takes a minute to load because it's a real 39 sheets.
Yeah.
But there's not anything specific on there, so I guess it would be easier if we just said, nope. Yeah, this is still the existing plan.
But so does the existing conditions plan show a path? Because then we can just reference that. I just don't know. I don't think I have that set with me.
So this path here.
Oh, I can't see it.
Oh, it's
Better?
Can you zoom in?
That's as far as I can zoom in.
All right. So can you show us with your cursor where the path
Yep.
is?
oh, okay.
And then it goes out back. Even further.
Okay, and obviously they're not. That's going to be maintained, right? I'm not doing anything in that area.
They're not proposing to do anything except for like the detention basin, infiltration basin, I think is over here now.
Okay, yep. So I think if we can reference that on the plan that says that they shall use the existing, the old cart paths or walking paths, as shown on the existing conditions plan. What are you doing, buddy? Huh? What are you doing?
Is that your dog?
Oh yeah, that's Otis.
Keyboard.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fine. I've got 61 then. Any other comments?
67. So the turtle nest, I'm at the turtle nesting habitat again.
Yes.
Contained as described in attachment B. What's attachment B?
It's actually the plan set, so we can change attachment B to in the plan set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the only other one was in perpetuity. Do we have anything tied to the turtle nesting habitat planned in perpetuity or the vernal pool?
It's within 60, yeah, it's there.
Okay.
69 to 70.
This as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good.
All right, we can consider a motion to approve order of conditions for 250-1052 as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by Dan Doyle. So we'll do a roll call vote. Gene?
Aye.
And Dan Doyle?
Aye.
And Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so the order of conditions as modified is approved.
Okay.
Our next item is a request for full certificate of compliance for determination 446 for J. Greg D. Girolamo and Dorothea Wander of 109 East Main Street. So this is a, oh, I see, tree hazard trees. So that's all set then?
Correct.
Suitable for a motion? Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for file number DET 446.
Lisa makes a motion and seconded by?
Second.
Dan Doyle. Roll call vote. Gene?
Aye.
Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye as well. So motion carries. So we'll do that as a virtual signature, or how do we do that these days?
I do it.
You do it. All right, you're on. And then there's an administrative approval for 83 King Philip Road.
Yep.
Hazard tree removal, but that's just for information purposes?
Yep.
All right. We have two sets of draft minutes, June 22nd and July 13th. And I think we have myself, Lisa, Jean, Dan Pearson. So we do have 4 participating tonight. Anybody have any questions about June 22nd?
Nope. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2020.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by? That would have to be Jean or
I'll
Pearson.
second. I'll second.
All right, seconded by Jean. Roll call vote. Jean is aye, or not? And Lisa is an aye. Okay. Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, and Dan Doyle was absent, so we'll skip that. All right, next one is Monday, July 13th. We have nobody absent, so anybody can comment or...
Yeah, I think there's just a typo on C, page 3, C, second full sentence. This will result in a shift of approximately 100 feet along the, I think it's supposed to be same, bordering vegetated wetland. I think. The word same. You see that, Jen?
Yeah, I see. Nice catch.
I don't have them in front of me, but.
Oh, okay. It was about the for New England Power. I think it was supposed to be same BBW instead of seam. Anyway.
Okay.
Other than that, I think a motion to approve the meeting minutes for July 13th, 2020.
All right, motion made by Lisa and seconded by
Aye, Dan.
Dan Pearson. All right, so roll call vote. Gene?
Aye.
And Dan Doyle?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Dan Pearson?
Aye.
And myself is an aye. All right, so we are moving on to
King Philip Road.
well, it says site inspection.
No, sorry.
Look at the
No.
240 pounds. What does that refer to?
That's what I thought. It was pounds. It's 40 beans. That's what I said. What are we looking at? 40 pounds.
Pounds is LE at.
40.
I know.
It's supposed to be a capital B.
Anyway, and so you don't have to come up with a site inspection now, but at some point you may want to all just run out and take a look at both of those sites.
Yeah, but I've been looking at multiple sites for a year.
You can schedule now if you like, but if you want to go look at it, it's probably worth taking a look at it.
I think so. Are we going to ask them to stake anything out?
If you like. What do you want staked?
Well, so we can get an idea of one.
All right, well, I've been looking at those sites for a long time, so. All right, our next issues are the review of violation, ongoing violations. Anything new to report there?
Oh, I didn't think we were done yet. Do you want the limit of work staked?
So maybe just the back edge of the building. I mean, it kind of, and then the patio kind of bows out, but I'm not so concerned about the patio. Right? Just the back edge of the building. 253. And then maybe just the back edge of that detention basin with notes on the stake, you know, fill however many feet they're going to be filling in that location. Basically, some grade stakes, so we know how much fill is going in back there. What is it going to be, a wall? I think those people that are looking at a wall of fill.
They won't be looking at a wall, but in some spots you said it was a couple of feet, and in other spots it's more like 5 to 7 feet. So it would be good to know. So hold on, back edge of
just a line of stakes along the toe slope of the basin with they call grade stakes, right? You put 5 feet plus 10 feet, whatever, how much you're going to fill from existing grade.
Okay,
that's it.
All right.
And then tell us when that's going to be done. Then we can just, I guess, make it there on our own.
Yes.
Do we need permission from the landowner or no? Well, I would ask.
Just tell them that we're going to do our site inspection to review their permit application.
Okay. All right. We should probably go as a group if that's possible. I don't know.
Yep.
But okay. Well, they're both continued to mid-August, right?
Yeah.
So we just put
Right,
that.
I'll ask them if they can do the staking, and then they'll just tell us when they're ready.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so Julian, back to you. Violations. 1 Gaffney Farm Drive did have a violation, but they've already submitted their permit application, so they'll be in at the next meeting.
All right.
And then that's it for me on this agenda.
All right. So all of those other violations listed are kind of in a holding pattern, I assume.
Correct.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? If not, we can go ahead and sign off, I guess. we can consider the meeting adjourned at 8:12 p.m.
Don't you need a motion?
Unless you want to stick around.
I'll make
All
that.
right, we have a motion. And a motion made by the Dans and seconded by the Dans, we're not gonna do a voice vote on that. We're gonna just say aye.
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 All right,
set?
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Peace out.
Okay, evening.